back to Grade 8 History, Unit Number 2, Canada's Changing Society, 1890 to 1914. This is Lesson Number 18. How did relations with the United States impact Canada? Before we begin today's video, let's consider the following. How do you think Canadian-American relations today are different than, or similar to, Canadian-American relations in the late 1800s and early 1900s? When I finish speaking, I want you to put the video on pause so that you can consider this question and write down your response. Please put the video on pause now. Let's begin. Throughout the late 1800s and early 1900s, Canada was struggling with its international relationships. In addition to the challenge of maintaining ties with the British Empire, Canada was also facing pressures from the United States. And you can see this in political cartoons of the day, where you had Uncle Sam representing the United States, and you had an English woman representing the British Empire, and then Canada, being a very young, not fully independent nation, was often portrayed as the innocent child caught in the middle of these two adults wanting to have their control. In 1896, gold was discovered in the Klondike, an area in what is now the Yukon. The Klondike was located close to the border with Alaska, which is part of the U.S. News traveled quickly, and the majority of the gold prospectors who came to the Klondike were American. Reaching the Klondike was not easy. It was a challenging journey, and most made the trip during the winter. The Northwest Mounted Police allowed only prospectors who had 1 year's supply of food to cross the Canadian border. Between 1897 and 1898, an estimated 20,000 to 30,000 prospectors traveled through the dangerous Chilkoot Pass in search of gold. Just take a look at this photograph here. What dangers do you see the prospectors facing? Please put the video on pause so that you can get a closer look at this picture and write down what dangers you see the prospectors facing. Let's continue. In 1898, the settlement of Dawson City grew from a population of 5,000 to about 16,000 people. It became the largest Canadian city west of Winnipeg and earned the nickname Paris of the North. The rapid influx of people had far-reaching and tragic effects on the First Nations living in the Yukon. While some First Nations peoples found work assisting the prospectors, the increased population caused a strain on the availability of food and their resources. Many First Nations people suffered famine and disease. The natural landscape was altered, and the federal government did little to lessen the human and environmental impact of the gold rush. Just take a look at this photograph on the left. What challenges do you think these First Nations packers faced? I want you to put the video on pause so you can take a closer look at this image and then write down what challenges you think these First Nations packers faced. Now let's continue. As a result of the gold rush, the Yukon Territory was created in 1898. Of the 100,000 people who had set out for the Klondike, only 30,000 made it. Some gave up partway, while others died during the journey due to diseases and avalanches. Of those who made it, only 4,000 struck gold. With the gold rush over, the population declined from a high of over 40,000 to a low of 8,500. The population continued to drop after 1911. Many of the prospectors who left the Yukon traveled to Alaska, where news of more gold was reported. The northwest boundary between the US and Canada had been in doubt even before the US bought Alaska from Russia in 1867. Prime Minister Laurier wanted to create a Canadian port that would serve the gold rush in the Yukon, and the Canadian government argued that the section of Alaska where gold had been found was actually on Canadian soil. And so you can see the Canadian-American dispute on this map here, as the red line represented Canada's claim to that part of Alaska. The United States put its claim in blue, and then finally the black represents the final boundary, which was established following a court ruling that we're going to learn about on this next slide. A dispute over control of the area arose, and a six-member panel consisting of two Canadian judges, three American judges, and one British judge was formed to make a decision. In the end, the U.S. won, as the British judge sided with the American judges. The decision by the British judge led English Canadians to start questioning their loyalty to Britain. Canada had supported the British Empire during the Boer War, and it was expected that the British would side with Canada on the Alaska boundary dispute. The result of the dispute also created a sense of Canadian nationalism, as Canadians were frustrated that the British still controlled all of Canada's international affairs. The national policy introduced by John A. Macdonald was still in place when Laurier was Prime Minister. This policy favored Ontario and Quebec since they made farm equipment that Canadians living in the prairies needed. These Canadian-made goods machines were quite expensive, so Laurier wanted to reach a reciprocity, or free trade agreement, with the U.S. that would allow for cheaper American goods to enter Canada free of tariffs or import taxes, in exchange for a limited number of Canadian resources that American farmers needed. The American government was strongly in favor of the proposal. However, Canadians were sharply divided on the idea of free trade. Many English Canadians feared that reciprocity with the U.S. would eventually lead to the U.S. taking full control of Canada. Many French Canadians saw the arrangement as a way for Canada to cut its ties with Britain, although there were French Canadians who feared that it would lead to the French culture being threatened by both English Canadians and Americans. A majority of Canadian manufacturers, industry leaders, and bankers feared that reciprocity would put the survival of Canadian businesses at risk. Reciprocity was a major issue in the 1911 election. A number of powerful liberals left Laurier and joined Robert Borden's Conservative Party. Borden played dirty by using the media to make it look like Laurier was trying to sell Canada to the U.S. This was not an illegal move, but it was a major factor in Laurier losing the election to Borden. Even though he lost, Laurier publicly stated that he was a proud Canadian, and he was committed to staying in Parliament as the leader of the opposition in order to keep an eye on Borden. So, to wrap up, let's finish today's video by considering the following, and we'll talk about these when we meet in tomorrow's class. First, how is the Klondike Gold Rush important to Canada's growth? And second, how did the Alaska boundary dispute and the Reciprocity Agreement impact the development of Canada's identity? As always, when I'm finished speaking, you will put the video on pause so that you can write down your response to these two questions. If you don't feel confident in your ability to answer either or both of these questions, it means that you need to go back and watch this video at least one more time, and then when you're ready, put the video on pause. Alright, I look forward to a good discussion based around the questions posted throughout this recording, but until we meet tomorrow, This concludes today's video.